The legacy of South Africa's Indian community began in 1860, when indentured laborers first arrived on these shores. From those humble beginnings grew generations whose resilience and determination would leave a profound mark on society. While many have made meaningful contributions at local and national level, only a few rose to shape the world beyond South Africa's borders. This documentary tells the story of 8 such individuals, pioneers who, despite the weight of apartheid and harsh racial discrimination, rose to achieve global impact. We start with an amazing global achiever, Qureaisha Abdul Karim. Qureaisha and her husband, Salim, have literally saved thousands of lives by transforming the approach to HIV prevention around the world. As a result, they are regarded as virtual royalty in the medical profession. Born in the small north coast town of Tongaat, Qureaisha did not attend any fancy private school. She had her early schooling at Vishwaroop State Aided School and Victoria School, before attending Tongaat High. When they started their work with HIV in the early 2000s, there were 6.5 million South Africans living with HIV, more than 1 in 10 inhabitants. It was also apparent that women bore about 4 times more infection than men. Traditional HIV prevention strategies, like abstinence, condoms, and behavior changes, were not sufficient to protect women. In 2010, the Capriza-4 trial, which she co-led, proved that antiretroviral drugs could prevent HIV infection before exposure. She therefore revolutionized therapy by being the first scientist to give ARVs, not only to affected, but normal people. She did this by initially using a gel for women. A foreign laboratory took the idea and developed a strategy administering a daily cocktail of 2 anti-HIV drugs to people at risk. And the results were astounding. When taken consistently, treatment reduced risk by 99% for sexual exposure, and at least 74% for injection drug use. Altogether, real-world evidence showed an 86% reduction in HIV acquisition across large populations using these programs. As a result, her research went on to directly change the treatment of the disease worldwide. The Abdul Karim's achievements have been celebrated around the world. They have won several awards, including the 2024 Lasker Bloomberg Public Service Award, referred to as America's Nobel Prize. Other awards include the 2018 Ward Cates Award, the 2022 Hideo Noguchi Africa Prize, the VIN Future Special Prize for Developing Country Innovator, the Olusegun Obasanjo Prize for Scientific Discovery, and the Chanchlani Global Health Research Award. Navanitham Pillay. Pillay is a South African jurist whose global influence on human rights and international law is unmatched. Born in Clairwood, she represented anti-apartheid activists as a young lawyer and was detained by the apartheid regime in 1968. In 1995, she became the first non-white woman appointed to the South African High Court. Globally, she served as UN High Commissioner for Human Rights from 2008 to 2014 and was a judge at the International Criminal Court and the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. But more importantly, she has presided over some of the biggest international genocide-related cases in the world. She has led prosecutions of high-ranking officials for genocide in Rwanda, contributed to accountability measures in the Sierra Leone Civil War, and advocated for investigations into government and militia crimes in Darfur. She also highlighted human rights violations in Myanmar, North Korea, Libya, Syria, the DRC and Gaza. This helped reshape international human rights law, advance gender justice in war crimes prosecutions, and has symbolized South Africa's transition to moral leadership. Kumi Naidoo. Chatsworth raised, Kumi Naidoo is one of the most decorated human rights and climate activists on the planet. He has served some of the foremost global agencies in the highest capacities, but more especially, he served his community with distinction during the toughest days of apartheid. Among his accolades, he was Executive Director of Greenpeace from 2009 to 2015, served as Secretary General of Amnesty International between 2018 and 2019. Was Secretary General of Civicus, the International Alliance for Citizen Participation, from 1998 to 2008. And is currently President of the Fossil Fuel Non-Proliferation Treaty Initiative, a joint diplomatic and civil society campaign to create a treaty to stop fossil fuel exploration and expansion. He was raised in a working-class home in Bayview, Chatsworth. Growing up, he was exposed to the inequalities of apartheid and took a stand against it. Naidoo, like many South African-born Indians, identifies himself as a black South African. He became involved in neighborhood organizing, community youth work, and mass mobilizations, and was a founder member of the Helping Hands group that worked in underprivileged communities in the Chatsworth Township. As a result of his activism, he became a target of South African security police. He was expelled from school and was arrested several times. He received a law degree at the University of Durban-Westville in 1985. During this time, he served as vice president of the Students' Representative Council. While studying, he found time to serve as guardian of the Lake Haven Home for Boys. He was only 20 at the time. He completed his studies, becoming the first South African Indian activist to earn a doctorate from Oxford University. He was a Rhodes Scholar. Kumi also has 3 honorary doctorates from the University of Johannesburg, Durban University of Technology, and Nelson Mandela University. Sam Ramsamy. Born in 1938 in Durban's Magazine Barracks, a poor working-class area, Ramsamy grew up immersed in anti-apartheid activism. He was one of the founders of the South African Council on Sport and led the South African Non-Racial Olympic Committee, while in exile in London, from 1976. Ramsamy organized the African boycott of the 1976 Montreal Olympics and mobilized protests during the 1981 Springbok Rugby Tour of New Zealand, contributing to South Africa's international sporting isolation. After apartheid, he served as president of the South African National Olympic Committee from 1991 to 2005 and carried South Africa's flag at the 1992 Barcelona Games, the first Olympics after South Africa's readmission into world sport. He was an International Olympic Committee member from 1995 to 2018, including serving on the executive board, and was appointed vice president of World Swimming, FINA, in 2004. Ramsamy has been inducted into the International Swimming Hall of Fame and received numerous awards, including the Outstanding Lifetime Achievement Award from the Association of National Olympic Committees, the South African Order of Ikhamanga, and World Aquatics Order of Merit. Kader Usmal. Usmal was a preeminent anti-apartheid activist, constitutional thinker, and post-1994 reformer. He was one of the most powerful anti-apartheid voices in the history of the South African liberation struggle, exposing and criticizing apartheid's cruelty all around the world. Another North Coast achiever, Kader was raised in Stanger, and came under the early influence of ANC leader and Nobel laureate Chief Albert Luthuli. During apartheid, he lived in exile in Dublin, establishing the Irish anti-apartheid movement and advocating for sanctions, boycotts, and cultural pressure against South Africa. Post-apartheid, he chaired the Constitutional Assembly's Bill of Rights Committee, helping craft South Africa's progressive constitution, and served as Minister of Water Affairs and Forestry and later Minister of Education. Vassi Naidoo. Despite a far from privileged upbringing, Vassi Naidoo rose to extraordinary heights in the global business and accounting community. In 1998, he became the first person of color to lead a Big Four accounting firm, when he was appointed Chief Executive Officer of Deloitte Southern Africa. Prior to his passing in 2021, he served as Chairman of Nedbank, Vice Chairman of Deloitte UK, and was a member of the prestigious Deloitte Global Board. Born in Chatsworth in 1955, Naidoo matriculated at Chatsworth High School. He went on to complete a BCom degree at the University of Durban-Westville and qualified as a chartered accountant in 1979. He joined Deloitte in 1977 as an articled clerk, became a partner in 1984, and rose to CEO in 1998. In 2006, he joined Deloitte UK as an executive member. After retiring from Deloitte in 2014, he was appointed as a non-executive director of Nedbank the following year, later serving as its chair until his death in 2021. Vassi Naidoo stands as a powerful example of resilience, determination, and fortitude, having excelled in a largely untransformed, white-dominated corporate sector in South Africa. Anant Singh. Anant Singh is a South African film producer whose global influence extends far beyond cinema. He is recognized as one of the foremost producers to emerge from Africa and is a member of the prestigious Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. Over 4 decades, his company Videovision has produced over 100 films across genres. Notable films include Place of Weeping, 1986. This was the first anti-apartheid movie to be made entirely in South Africa. Sarafina, 1992. Cry the Beloved Country, 1995. Yesterday, 2005. This was South Africa's first Academy Award nominee for Best Foreign Language Film. And Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, 2013, where he worked directly with Nelson Mandela, who he had a close relationship with. Beyond his own business, he is chairman of Cape Town Film Studios, a member of the International Olympic Committee, and part of the Global Arts and Culture Council of the World Economic Forum. Hashim Amla. Hashim Amla is not just a great South African cricketer. He goes way beyond this. In 2004 he was shunned by the South African public for refusing to wear an alcohol advertisement. But to the chagrin of many, he bounced back. He became the first South African to score a triple century in Test matches, in 123 years of South African cricket history. Not bad, for a Tongaat boy. His 311 not out became, and still is, the highest ever score by a South African in Test cricket, and he did it against England at the Oval. He didn't stop there, he went on to decimate several South African and world records. For those who thought he was only a Test player, he became the fastest player in the world to reach 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and 6,000 ODI runs. He was the first South African to reach number 1 as a batsman on the World Test Cricket Rankings, in February 2013. He went on to score over 18,000 international runs, 55 centuries, and became the first person of Indian descent to captain South Africa. Hashim Amla remains a national icon in post-apartheid South Africa for his excellence, humility, and principles. Conclusion. From science to sport, and activism to business, these individuals exemplify how the descendants of South Africa's 1860 Indian settlers have shaped humanity. Their achievements remind us that greatness is not just the preserve of privilege, but can be born of hardship, determination, struggle, and the power of community. We salute them.